Hey everybody, what's going on? And happy Friday. It's great to be here live with you. Just let me click one more button here to take one more stream live. All right. Welcome to my Photography Masterclass. If you're new here, try to do these every Friday. Some Fridays I am not available to do them, but otherwise I do them as often as I can. This is something that we started a few years back. Actually, it started with COVID and then kept it going for a couple years and then took a hiatus for the last couple years and back by popular demand, as people like to say. So let me go ahead and bring up the chat window since I can't see anything right now, what you're saying, who's here. Ooh, a bunch of people here. All right, welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Cool, glad you're able to finally join us. As always, hello, Sweden, and welcome. Nicholas, we love having you here. And let's see what else we got here. Hello, hello, hello. And hello, is that Victoria? Yep, Victoria, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, New York. So lots of people coming in from all over the world, which is great, including a place I've never been. I've never been to Belgium. So hopefully get there one day. It's on the bucket list, just haven't been there yet. And good morning good morning, Phoenix. So now we got a lot of the shout outs out of the way and more people will keep coming in. Let's get a couple housekeeping things out of the way and then we'll go ahead and dive right in. So first and foremost, I haven't done this lately, but let's go ahead and bring up the graphic overlays there. Just reminding people that, hang on, let's just see. Which one's which? Oh, God, I can't tell which one's which. I think this is the, nope, that's not it. That's it. All right, just reminding people, you can always follow me in between streams on the various social channels. I'm Terry Lee White just about everywhere, like 99% of social channels. That's my handle. So if people ask me questions all the time, all month long, even in between the streams, and I do my best to answer them. I may not see them all. I may not get to them all, but I'll do my best, including a post I pinned on my YouTube channel. So if you're on my YouTube channel, you can pop in there and there's a pinned post that I get notified of when people post there and ask questions, so I can jump in and try and get to them there. And people ask questions after the fact, even after the stream has been posted. So I usually see those too. So lots of places to ask questions. Even if you're watching this after the fact or you're not live or you think of something after it's gone live, you can always jump in and check it out there. And my last plea to everyone is that we're in August now. We're headed towards the end of the year. Please, 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 if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. It costs you nothing. You don't ever have to watch a video. You don't have to click anything. You don't ever have to do a comment. Just subscribe, because that helps the channel, therefore helps me. And also it's a personal goal to try and, I'm so close to 500,000 followers, to try and hit that goal by the end of the year. So running out of time, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And unsubscribing and subscribing again doesn't really help. So if you're already a subscriber, thank you. If you haven't subscribed yet, it costs you nothing. Just go to the channel and click subscribe. And of course, like the video if you like the video, and thumbs up and all. You know what? Like the video even if you don't like the video, just for the fun of it. All right, what are we doing today? Today we're talking about a topic that I get questions on throughout the course of time, and that is about syncing, especially from Lightroom Classic users that want to sync images to the cloud. Not so much for just putting images in cloud. You want them really synced so you can get to them on your other devices. So if you're a Lightroom Classic user, your computer is at home and you want to access something on your iPhone or your Android phone or your iPad, that's typically the workflow. And that workflow has been around for almost as long as Lightroom's been around. It's been around for 10, 12, 13 years. I remember when it first came out, the first mobile device that we had was on, or first mobile device we supported was on iPad. And the idea was that you wouldn't have to take your, you wouldn't have to leave you wouldn't have to sit at your desk. You'd sit on the couch and cull through your photos and mark flags and rejects and so forth and so on. And of course, it's come much further along since then because now people are doing full-blown edits on mobile. So the product on mobile just keeps getting better and better. Last week or so, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, we introduced 2 features on mobile. On iPhone, users got the ability to do generative expand. And on iPad, users got the ability, the #1 most requested feature on iPad, believe it or not, was AI denoise. And we delivered that sooner than we were going to because of that high demand for the product. So you can do a lot on mobile. We're going to cover some of that stuff too when we jump into syncing. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into syncing. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my screen here so you can see what I'm doing. I've got Lightroom Classic open. And with Lightroom Classic open, I'm going to walk you through the process. This is for someone who's never done it before, always asked the question, how do I even sync anything? Does everything sync? Oh my God, I don't want everything in the cloud. I don't have room in the cloud. All of those questions. So first and foremost, this is specifically for Lightroom Classic. We'll talk about the other Lightroom in a minute. Lightroom Classic, you've been grandfathered in since the beginning of time to sync an unlimited number of images from Lightroom Classic to the cloud. Because Lightroom Classic has always and only syncs smart previews. Smart previews do not count against your storage space. So if you say, Terry, I've only got 20 gigabytes of cloud space, I can't sync more than a few images. True, you can't sync more than a few original raw files, but you can sync tens of thousands of Lightroom Classic images to the cloud. They don't count towards that 20 gigabytes. So if you synced 100,000 images from Lightroom Classic, you would still have 20 gigabytes of space. So that's a great benefit because what that means is I don't have to think about running out of space. I don't think about a number limit. I can sync whatever I want, whenever I want, and only what I want to Lightroom Cloud via Lightroom Classic because it's only a smart preview. Well, if it's only a smart preview, Terry, then what is that? How does that work with editing? If I sync a smart preview and I go to my phone and I increase the exposure, what happens back in Lightroom Desktop? Or Lightroom Classic, I mean. In Lightroom Classic, whatever adjustments you made are non-destructive, and they apply to the original that's back in Lightroom Classic. So you got the best of both worlds. You're not tying up a bunch of space on your phone. You're not taking up any extra space on the cloud that you have to pay for, or like got to buy more space because you're using more syncing. And you get the high resolution results back in Lightroom Classic there. So it's a win-win scenario in that situation. So let's go ahead and start off with where do I even begin to do this? Once you launch Lightroom Classic, it's the first thing you need to do is literally turn it on. And I'll forewarn you that syncing has always and probably always will only work with one catalog at a time. So it was when this feature came out, that was really my prompt to consolidate my 3 or 4 catalogs down to one because I wanted to be able to sync and I wanted access to all the collections that I wanted, no matter what they were for, on my devices. So I got down to one catalog and I turned on syncing and been that way ever since. So if we look at my current catalog, it's got 250,487 assets in it. And that's 250,000 assets. And not all of them are synced. So I don't have 250,000 in the cloud or smart previews in the cloud, but that's how many I have in Lightroom Classic in that one catalog, and works just fine. All right, so let's go ahead and pop over to this icon in the upper right corner. Looks like a little cloud icon. Mine is always infinitely syncing because I got a couple files that are glitching. But anyway, that cloud icon is normally just gray. Unless it is doing something, and then you will see something imposed on it like my sync. Once you click it, that's actually a drop-down menu. And when you drop down that menu, you will see what that activity is, if there is any activity. And mine is always syncing those same 116 photos because it's really not syncing them. It's just caught in a metadata loop that I need to go solve and I'll fix. And I'll show you how I'm going to fix it. I just haven't taken the time to do it. Because it's not stopping me from doing anything. That's why I never bother worrying about fixing it. But I'm going to show you where I would go fix it if you're having this problem. Number one. So mine says pause syncing. If you've never turned it on, yours will say start syncing. It's an on-off button. So yours will be the little triangle with a play icon. You click start syncing. That's it. You've turned it on. Nothing's syncing. Except one thing could possibly be syncing. But nothing is syncing from Lightroom Classic. Because Lightroom Classic only syncs collections that you've enabled syncing on. So in other words, if you have 250,000 assets, none of those 250,000 assets are syncing up to the cloud just by turning that on. Only the collections you enable from that point forward will create smart previews in the background and sync those smart previews up to the cloud. That's it. So just turning that on does nothing, except I said there's one thing it will sync. If you had images in the cloud already that you took on your iPhone and Lightroom on your iPhone or iPad or Android phone, whatever, those, by turning this on, will sync down into Lightroom Classic. So they're sitting in their cloud, they're just waiting. You haven't turned this on, so they're just going to sit in the cloud, taking up whatever space they take up. But once you turn that on, no matter what, even if you never sync anything up, those will come down into your hard drive as originals. And I'm going to show you where you pick where they come down to. Because by default, they just come down into one single folder, wherever that default location is, probably your pictures folder somewhere. And you can decide, no, I don't want them there. I want them on a hard drive, or I want them on a NAS, or I want them on this drive, whatever. You can decide where you want them to come down to, but turning this on doesn't sync anything up until you tell it to, and only syncs down the things that were already there waiting. If you had nothing waiting, nothing happens. If you had a bunch of images up in the cloud, those are going to come down. That's it. Now, one more nuance or difference. I was careful to say 250,000 assets, not pictures, because most of those are probably photos. Some of those are videos. When you enable syncing, even if you put videos in a collection in Lightroom Classic, they do not sync up. Lightroom Classic has never synced videos up, doesn't sync videos up today. It only syncs videos, if they were already in the cloud, down. So if I shot a video on my phone, brought it into Lightroom on my phone, it synced up to the cloud, that video is going to come down too into Lightroom Classic, just like the pictures did. So that's the only other nuance. I think I got them all. So only smart previews up, only the ones you put in the collection, only after you turn this on, and the only thing that would ever start syncing down are the ones that are already there, photos and videos. And now let me show you where they would go if you had existing ones already there. And this is a preference I'm going to show you actually I can do it from here. So go to your cloud, and there's a little gear icon. The little gear icon is where you get to a couple things I mentioned. So this is going to get to your Lightroom Classic syncing preferences. And this is where you, number one, decide where those images and videos are going to come down to. You get to choose where that location is, wherever you want on your drive. Number two, this is not on by default. I highly recommend use subfolders formatted by capture date. You've heard me rail on this before. I don't ever do anything by date, and this is not giving me a choice, so I have to do it by date. But the main point of this sentence is use subfolders. I don't care how they're formatted. Because if you don't have this turned on, it's going to bring everything always into one big giant folder. And I hadn't paid attention to what was syncing down for like months, several months, probably almost a year. And I finally went and looked in that folder that I told it where it was. I went and looked at this folder. And the reason I called it From Oz, not from the Wizard of Oz, but Oz is the code name, the original code name of Lightroom's cloud. So sync down from Oz. Anyway, I went in that folder one day and there were 30,000 assets in that folder. 30,000 things in one folder. Have you ever tried to open up a folder on your operating system with 30,000 things in it? Good luck. Your operating system, I don't care what you're on, I don't care how fast your computer is likely to choke. Because operating systems are not designed to show you 30,000 things in one folder. Now, Lightroom actually didn't have a problem. I could go rearrange and move everything, which is the best way to do it anyway in Lightroom Classic. It actually worked fine. I can open up that folder, select a bunch of things, move them to a different folder. And eventually, I never finished cleaning it up, but I got it down below 10,000. I think I was like 7,000 or 6,000 things left to go. And one day I'll sit down on a evening and finish that process. And what I mean by finish the process is take those 30,000 assets that have been sinking down for months and put them in the appropriate folders on my NAS where they need to be, stored permanently, as opposed to them just being in a giant folder on my laptop hard drive. So you pick this folder, and I highly recommend turning this on. And the reason here's what it looks like when that is on. So I'm going to go to where they come down right now. They come down into my hard disk. They come down into my pictures folder. And here it is, From Oz. Notice all the folders by date. And some of them only have 1 or 2 things in because I take one picture with my phone and sync it up. And those things, and there's my dog. And those things come down. But instead of those now mounting in, and here, let's go do this. Let's go click on that folder. And let's go, yep, so here's some event photos I just took. Let's go show that. Yep, show it in Finder. All right, here's my From Oz folder. And see all the single items. And by the way, 11,000 items. So a bunch have still come in that I still need to go sort. But if I scroll down, oh, wait, where are the folders? There should be some folders in here now. Oh, there they are. So if I scroll up, there are all the folders that have been creating since I turned that feature on. I didn't always have that feature on, hence why there's 11,000 things still in that folder. But 11,000, still better than 30. I cut down 2/3 of it. I still need to go and finish cleaning this up. Now, what that will mean is I will go through folder by folder and move the things where they need to be, as opposed to having to, okay, these 20 images are the same event. They need to move, like, oh God, don't ever do it one by one. It's a pain in the butt. Okay, anyway, that's the biggest tip I can give you of the day, is that you turn that on in your sync settings. You turn on the use subfolders formatted by capture date. I don't know what, like, I guess it has no other way of knowing what they are, so it's got to use something. So date's fine. All right, and I've also changed the format of the date. Like, you can tell it how to format the date. I chose year, month, day. You can choose whatever you want as the format of what it will actually call the folder. That's another option you can do. Now, second thing I was going to show you when I was in here is this is where the images are coming down to. You choose the location, what drive, what NAS, whatever. Turn on by subfolder. And lastly, sync activity. Remember I told you those 116 things I need to go clear up? These are the 116 things that are needing to be cleared up. Some are in the process of downloading. They just never downloaded successfully. Some are in the process of uploading. They just never uploaded successfully. So there they are. If I wanted to see which one was which, and I can even see what folder it's coming from, I could go ahead and click on that image, and it will take me right to it in Lightroom Classic. I can see, oh, I dropped my mouse. It fell off the desk. I can go see if, hang on, picking up the mouse. Okay, I can go see if, there it is. I was gonna say, did it break? Okay, I can go see if those things are important or not. And by the way, if something's not important, I'm like, oh, I don't care. I don't need that up there. I can right click on it and say remove from all sync photos. And that just simply, it doesn't take it off the hard drive, doesn't take it away from Lightroom Classic. It just removes it from being synced and not causing an issue anymore. So if I do that, that it'll tell me one more, it'll give me one more thing, one more warning. Yep, okay. I know. Thank you. It's been removed, and now there should be only 115 things struggling to sync. So you can go resolve that syncing stuck thing all you want by just going into this and resolving each thing that's having an issue. Whether you fix the issue of whatever it is, it's probably a metadata issue. So maybe just go do an update metadata on the image, or remove it if you don't care if it gets synced or not. Like that image, I knew I didn't care if it gets synced. I could probably do that for all of these. Like these tech EV charging photos, I don't care if they get synced or not. I can turn that off for all of them. But anyway, I'm going to go through them one by one and do due diligence. Okay, that's number one, turning it on. Number two, let's go in and come down to my Photography Masterclass folder. And with my Photography Masterclass folder, here, let me twirl this up to make more room. There we go. My Photography Masterclass folder, I'm going to create a brand new collection just to show you how this works. So I'm going to click on the Photography Masterclass, which is the main folder. And then I'm going to go in and, main collection set. I'm going to go ahead and create a collection. And I'm going to call this collection Masterclass Sync August, just so we exactly know what it is. August 2026. So we'll know exactly which one it is. Now, if I just create the collection right now, nothing will happen because creating a collection doesn't automatically make it sync. I could enable syncing right here on the fly by just simply enabling syncing. If I don't do that, I'm going to start from where you probably are starting, where you have some collections that already existed that aren't syncing. Then it's just going to create an empty collection. I've already forgot what I called it. What did I call it? I called it, did I call it Photography Masterclass or Masterclass Sync? There it is. Nope, that's settings. Oh God, there it is. Masterclass Sync. And you know what? So we will be able to see it, spot it quickly from now on. Let's add a color to it. Let's make it blue. You know what? Actually, let's make it yellow since I already have some things that are blue. There we go. Make it yellow. That way I'll quickly visually be able to see where it is. All right, so now I've got this empty collection that nothing's happening in. Now I'm going to go in and grab, let's grab some images here. Let's go ahead and throw some images in there. I'm going to grab this one, this one, this one, and this one. And we'll go back to that collection that's yellow. See, it was easy for me to find it. And throw them in there. So there are 4 images now in that collection. Again, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening in the cloud. I just manually put 4 images in the collection like I always could. However, if I want those images to be synced to the cloud, iPad, Android, so forth and so on, then I can enable sync on a collection by collection basis. So here's how it works. You notice on the left-hand side, I'm going to zoom in on it so you can see it. Most of these have a little arrow thing going on. This one does not, unless I hover over it. The ones that have the little arrow thing on them have sync enabled. The ones that don't, like this one, let's test. Probably scroll and find more. Yep. Let's make a video. None of those are actually syncing. So whatever I put in those collections never gets synced to the cloud. If I want that collection to sync, then I just simply enable the box. That's it. You turn it on, turn it off. Things you want to sync, put them in a collection, turn on syncing. Or turn on syncing even when you create the collection, just save an extra step. Things you don't want to sync, put them in a collection, don't turn on the collection. Don't turn on this, or just don't turn on sync in a collection, they will never sync. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. And now I'm hovering over, it's not flashing because it's on now. And you will know it's on because 2 things will happen. Number 1, it will now show you a new button that says make public. We'll talk about that in a second. And if it were still syncing, which that's not this, but this the other 100 and some things still trying to sync, you'll probably see that little blue thing flash or spin or light up, I should say, to let you know that it's syncing. Now, if I go over to a cloud-based Lightroom, whether that's Lightroom Desktop, Lightroom on my iPhone, Android, or iPad, or Lightroom Web, I'll see that new collection/album in the list of other albums that were already there. So let's pop over to Lightroom Desktop just to check. It may not be there yet, but let's check. And it's there. Here it is at the bottom. And there it is with 4 things in it. So successfully worked. It's synced. So if I were to click on one of these and I were to go to info, it's going to tell me the status of it is cloud, meaning what's in the cloud. It was synced from Lightroom Classic, and what's in the cloud is a smart preview. Local still pending because it's still figuring out, but it's going to come back as a smart preview eventually. So that's letting me know right off the bat that this is a smart preview. This is not an original. So that's one way you can check. So it's not taking up any space. I can sync tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of those, and they will not take up any space. All right, now here's another caveat. Hey, in Lightroom Classic, Terry, you had that Masterclass Sync August 2026 collection in your collection set called Photography Masterclass. Why didn't it put it in that same collection set that you have on Lightroom? Because Lightroom does not match your structure. It does not have the exact same structure that Lightroom Classic has. So I can move it there. I can simply come down here, find it again. It's at the bottom here. I can drag it in there. Eventually, get all the way back up here. Oh, I hate when this happens, by the way. Photography Masterclass. What do we call this thing? Oh, we just have it loose in the Photography Masterclass, right? Okay, I'll just drop it in there. All right, so now if I were to go find it, there it is. It's in my photography. Now it didn't change anything in Classic. I'm just putting it in the same structure that I had it in Classic in Lightroom Desktop. So now there it is. And if I were to bring up my phone, okay. And I see your questions about smart collections. I'm going to get to that in a second. If I were to bring this up on my phone, let's go to Lightroom on my phone. And let me show you my phone. Hang on, I just want to get to the same spot. All right, here we are. So here's my iPhone. And if I were to go in and look at, where do we call it? We had this in demo, and we had it in Photography Masterclass, and we had it as Photography or Masterclass Sync. There it is. So the same things are now on my phone. I can do whatever I want. So if I go into one of these photos and I want to start adjusting it, and I want to go in, make it super bright just so we can see the difference. Now, here's a caveat too, or just something you should know. While you're adjusting, while you're editing the photo, Lightroom it pauses syncing. It's not going to sync anything till it's going to waste time syncing every little drag of the slider until you're done. How does it know you're done? You back out of the photo. When you back out of the photo and go back to the grid, oh, you're done. Okay, now I'll sync those changes. And you can see the little sync icon right here pulsating between those three dots. That just finished syncing the metadata back up to the cloud. Now let's go back to Lightroom Classic. Oh my God, it hasn't updated because it's not instantaneous. Lightroom Classic polls the cloud every 30 seconds or so. Hey, has anything changed? Okay, nothing? Cool. Then it doesn't do anything for 30 more seconds. Hey, has anything changed? No? Cool. Then just pull. So if you caught it in the middle of that 30 seconds or at the beginning of the 30 seconds that it just finished, it's going to take at least 30 seconds before it looks to see if anything changed. And then it'll take whatever time it takes to sync that change down to Lightroom Classic as it just did. So that's one. I was able to go on my phone, make a very visible difference so you could see it. And then if I go into this image now and I go into develop, what will I see? I will see in the basic panel that exposure setting that I just made. So I made it super exposed at 1.75 stop or plus 1.75 stops higher. And that's what made it super bright. So I could readjust it. So again, non-destructive across the board. Now people always ask, what does it do in history? Does it, because in history, it normally shows you every little thing you did. Unfortunately, when you begin the edit or do the edit on mobile, it doesn't come in as every little individual thing. It comes in as from Lightroom Mobile. So in other words, in history, you're not going to get every little detail you did. You're just going to get the broad, you did a bunch of stuff or one thing or a bunch of things in Lightroom Mobile. Here they are. If you don't want them, go back to the previous state. But again, you do get obviously the individual adjustments. So if I were to now go in and make another adjustment, we'll adjust it super dark. And again, we'll get out of it. And within 30 seconds, it'll sync that change. And I can tell it's syncing the change because there were 3 little dots there a second ago that are now gone. And that metadata change has begun or started syncing up to the cloud. And if I were to look at my phone, it hasn't happened yet, but I'll get back to my phone in a second once it happens, and we'll take a look. But while we're waiting for that to happen, let me address the elephant in the room about collections. People, including myself, I'm with you on this one, have always asked, why can't we sync smart collections? Oh my God, that would be ideal. I can make a smart collection of all the things I want to always be in the cloud, and they would sync. And it doesn't do it. It just, I don't know technically why. I asked this years ago and they gave me some reason and I'm like, okay. It felt like I'm not an engineer, so I don't know, like it doesn't sound like it was rocket science, but for whatever reason, there was something stopping them from syncing a collection that could always change. And I'm like, a collection that could always change manually. Anyway, I'm not going to fight it here. I'm just letting you know, sorry to disappoint you. Smart collections do not sync. They have to be in dumb collections, I guess we'd call it. Okay, so my phone is updated now. If I switch over to my phone, there's the new darker version. And if I were to go to it on my phone, to the darker version, I see the exposure has been dropped down to negative 2.5. So adjustments made back and forth easily on your phone, no problem. Now, or back and forth phone versus cloud. And of course, all of those changes are already happening in Lightroom desktop as well, or Lightroom web, or Lightroom on iPad, or Lightroom on Android, because it's the same account syncing metadata across all the surfaces. All right, next up. Just making sure I didn't miss anything here. I see people talking to each other. Levon Hall, great, glad to see you here. Yes, I just addressed smart collections. It doesn't work. All right, let's say that, let's go back to the phone for a second. Let's say now we talked about one way. We talked about Lightroom Classic, turning it on, making a collection, enabling sync on that collection, throwing things into that collection. They sync up. They're available on all my devices. I can make changes in any place, and the changes happen across the board to all the places. What if I start on my phone? What if I'm out and about? I know it never happens to you, but you take out your camera or you take out your phone and take a picture with the camera. Heaven forbid. All right, that happens a lot. We always are shooting things with our phone. How does that process work? So let's go do it. Let's go bring up my camera. And let's go ahead and zoom in on my Star Trek wall display there. Ooh, let's get a nice original phaser shot. All right, so we'll go ahead and take that shot of the phaser. And now I took that as a raw image on purpose. I could have made, I didn't really need it as a raw image. I could have dropped it down to an HEIF file, high efficiency file. I could have also dropped it down 12 megapixels. But I wanted that 48 megapixel worst case scenario shot. All right, so now if I get out of that and I go to Lightroom, and I now at the bottom in Lightroom, there's 2 plus signs. Well, number one, Lightroom has a camera. But that camera hasn't been updated in a while, and probably the camera on your device has now got better features or better support. But it used to be, that used to be the sweet camera back in the day because it let you do professional things like adjust manual settings, which your camera couldn't do before. And most things it probably could still do some things your regular camera can't do. But anyway, I shot it. It's on my camera roll. I'm going to hit the first plus sign, which is go get something that's already there as opposed to bringing up the camera. All right, where do you want to get it from? Do you want to get it from your device or your camera roll or your gallery, whatever device you're on? Or do you want to get it from Lightroom? Nope. Do you want to get it from the files? Nope. Do you want to get it from your physical camera you connected via the card or the card reader or the camera itself? I'm going to say, nope, it's on the device. Go to my device, bring up my camera roll, and lo and behold, there's a Star Trek phaser shot that's a DNG. Let's go ahead and add that in. And that will now import it into Lightroom on my phone, into the temporary space that's cached on my phone. It has already started syncing. You can see the icon right here. It's syncing up that full resolution, full 48 megapixel, however big that file is, up to the cloud. And that is taking up cloud space because it's an original. It's not a smart preview. Now, I can leave this album. I can go do other things, but I can't leave Lightroom until that finishes. So I need to stay in Lightroom until it just finished. So now that's been synced up to the cloud. And Lightroom Classic in the background, polling every 30 seconds, will eventually see it and bring it down into that folder that we set up, and we told it to segment everything by date. So it'll be in today's date in a folder in that special location that you picked with that raw file in it for you to put away wherever you want to store it ultimately. Okay, so now that that image has been synced, let's go ahead and let's go back. I mean, bring back up the camera. And again, we'll wait for it to poll. Now, I don't know which one's going to beat it. Oh, Lightroom Desktop beat it. It's here. Let's go back to Lightroom Classic, and there it is, Lightroom Classic. So again, just a matter of time within 30 seconds, and then again, speed of your internet, how long it takes for that to come down. And if we go look at that, that's the resolution of it. 48 megapixel image from my iPhone, 5,064 pixels by 6,754 pixels. It is a DNG file, so it is a raw file because that's what my phone shot. It does have the location information of where my house is. So I'm not going to bring that up because my phone geotags. And I can now go into it and do whatever I want to do with it. I can, and last but not least, let's click on it. And let's go to let's show it in the Finder. And lo and behold, it's in a folder with today's date on it from in my main from Oz folder, because that's where it downloaded it to. So I took 2 photos today, one before the stream, one after the stream. I don't know, it looks like some metadata stuff. But there it is. Oh, I know what that is. Yeah, I know what that is. Anyway, but there it is. There's the raw file, the original that I can now go back to Lightroom and move to wherever I want it to be in whatever folder I want it to be from the folder panel. So if you want to put things away, put them away here and drag them into the folders you want to be in. It will move them from whatever folder they're in to that date folder to whatever folder you tell it to put them in. And so don't do it in the operating system. Do it in Lightroom Classic so it stays synced. All right, last but not least, another question comes up. Well, Terry, since that shot of the phaser is taking up space on my cloud and I only have 20 gigabytes or I only have 100 gigabytes or I don't have that much space, how do I clear up space? If I delete it from the cloud, what happens. So if I go in to Lightroom and I delete this image, somewhere there's a delete. There it is. Delete one photo. That will temporarily, it'll move it into a deleted items folder in Lightroom because we know people make mistakes and we give you 60 days to correct that mistake. In other words, if I delete it, it's going to move it into that temporary folder, and 60 days later, it'll empty that folder. Or 60 days later, it will delete. Or I can go into that folder manually and delete it right now. But anyway, once I delete it from here, from the cloud, whether you do this in Lightroom desktop, web, or phone, or iPad, or Android, if you delete it from a Lightroom cloud surface, then it will free up that cloud space after the 60 days, so you can go delete it sooner if you want to get the space sooner. And it will not touch the photo in Lightroom Classic. Physically, anyway. It will remove it from the all synced photos and the album it's in or collection it's in because you told it to delete it. It's gone. But if you were to go to your all photos, it's still there. So you have to rearrange it and put it back in a different collection, but not one that's syncing because I take that back. Let me give you a tip. It's going to remove it from this album, from the other collection in Lightroom Classic, and it'll be in all photos. If you want to sync it again, you can, because in Lightroom Classic, you can, yes, same name. You can move it into another collection that's syncing, and now it's going to sync up a Smart Preview. So you still get to have it in the cloud if you want it in the cloud. It just can't originate in the cloud if you don't. That's the best way to explain it. So go in the cloud, delete it, delete it, clear it from the deleted items folder. It's no longer taking up space. It's no longer in this album. It's no longer in that collection in Lightroom Classic. It is in all photos for you to find it. And then you can move it into any collection you want, including one that syncs, because in that point, now you're syncing it from Lightroom Classic and not the cloud first. So the original's in Lightroom Classic, just like all the rest of your originals, and it syncs up the Smart Preview once you put it back into a collection. All right, what happens if, here, let's bring this up. All right, what happens if I have a collection in Lightroom Classic that has the same name as an album in Lightroom? When you try to sync, do you get any kind of naming error? I've never done that, but I don't think it'll be a problem because I've never tried it. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think you'll just have two albums with the same exact name. Or, and again, because I haven't tried it, or the new one you just created, it might have pinned something onto the end of it, like a 1 or A or B or something. I don't know. That would be worst case scenario. It's not going to stop you from doing it, but as far as I know, it will just have both albums that are the same names with different content in them. Because remember also, it doesn't put it in the same exact location. So if it's in a collection set in Lightroom Classic, it's not going to be a collection set in Lightroom Desktop. Here, let's try this. I know one way to try it. We're in Photography Masterclass, right? We're going to go ahead and create a new album. And I see one there called Flowers 2022. Now here it might give me a problem because I'm in the same surface trying to do it. Yep, tells me exactly. It tells me that already exists, and it will add a number 2 there instead. That's what I meant. It might add on a number if it sees a duplicate that it's having a problem with automatically. And I guess that's what would happen. Like I said, I've never tried it. I just know that when I try and do it manually, it tells me, hey, that already exists. Do you, oh, wait, let me also see if it does it if I tell it to put it somewhere else. Nope, it says that album already exists no matter where I try and put it. So it will probably just append a name onto it. Or I'm sorry, a number onto it if you try and duplicate it. All right, hope that helps. Okay, here's a question. I used to use syncing all the time, had issues all the time. Has there been a significant upgrade in the last 3 years? Absolutely, there has. The entire syncing engine in Lightroom Classic has been rewritten. So yeah, it's been greatly improved. I still get metadata syncing issues sometimes, but nowhere near what it used to be in terms of speed and so forth and so on. So it's yes, to answer your question, it has been updated in the last 3 years. And thank you. I'm glad to be here as well. And appreciate you being in Mac Group back in the day. Dun, 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 dun. All right. I use multiple catalogs. I want them all to sync. I want to be 20 years younger. All right. We're both wanting stuff. All right. Next up. That is all I can think of in terms of do's and don'ts, tips and tricks, what to do, what not to do. Again, if we go back to Lightroom Classic, it's pretty straightforward. Turn it on, create a collection, enable syncing for that collection if you want it, put stuff in that collection. If you put videos in there, they'll just sit there. It's not going to sync them. Photos will sync. They'll be available as smart previews on all your devices. You can edit, you can export, you can do everything you want at smart preview resolution, which is 2560 on the longest edge. Any adjustments you make anywhere will happen everywhere at once all the syncing is taking place. If you remove it in Lightroom Classic, we didn't talk about this, if you remove it from the collection in Lightroom Classic, it will remove it from the cloud too. That's another way to do it. So yeah, by the way, boom, that's even better. If you want to remove an image from the cloud, you can also remove it from the collection in Lightroom Classic, putting it in a no, I take that back. You'd have to remove it from the all synced photos collection. So what I mean by that is I thought there would be a cheat code, but there isn't. You have this all synced photographs in Lightroom Classic. So I have 85,000 things synced. You'd have to remove it from there, because just simply removing it from the collection doesn't remove it from this. Once you remove it from this, then it will be removed from the cloud. But again, you could have put it already somewhere else you wanted to put it, then go remove it from here, and now it's no longer taking up space. So that's another way to do it. And again, last but not least, it's here. If I now say, hey, I want to crop this. Hey, I want to position this. Oh, I don't want to crop that tight. Hang on. There we go. And I want to unconstrain the crop. And I want to do that. And I want to do that. And I also want to come back here. And I want to hit auto on it. And I want to use the remove tool on it. Not masking, remove tool. There we go. And I want to do all these things. I can do them all. But again, once I'm done, nothing happens until I'm out of it. Once I'm out of it, I see the little three circles, the metadata has synced, and then eventually that change will be, there it is. That change has already happened in the cloud because that was just a metadata change. It was quick. So happy syncing. Hopefully this answered your questions about syncing. Hopefully you got something out of this. We're just under my, hopefully I never go over an hour, but sometimes I did, especially the first couple of weeks. It's a confusing topic to a lot of people because there's so many little nuances, but I think I got them all. I think I got the most common ones out of the way that people always ask me about. And if I didn't, be sure to let me know in the questions or comments in the questions. Questions in the comments. There we go. All right. With that said, cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your Friday.